Parasyte. The maxim begins by showing a 16-year-old boy named Shinichi Izumi, who suddenly wakes up from his sleep because he feels something is nearby. Because he couldn't find anything there, he thought that he was just hallucinating. He then got ready to go to school. While having breakfast with his mother told him that last night he was acting strange because he was delirious while wrapping the earphone cable on his right arm. He did not respond to his mother's words and then went to school as usual. On the way to school, one of his friends, a girl named Izumi Murano, tries to surprise him from behind by hitting his head. However, unnoticed by Shinichi, his right hand reflexively caught Izumi's hand that was about to hit his head from behind. He was surprised because he didn't feel like moving his hand. When attending class lessons, he falls asleep. In his sleep, he dreamed of a strange incident that he had experienced last night, where at that time, he was wearing earphones and was surprised by a small creature shaped like a worm trying to enter his body through the nostril. Suddenly he woke up and tried to get rid of the creature. But the creature managed to pierce Shinichi's hand and crawled into his right arm. He panicked and then wrapped the earphone cable around his arm while screaming for help and calling his parents. When his parents checked his condition, the hole in his hand suddenly disappeared without a trace, so they only assumed that Shinichi was just delirious in his sleep. And then, he woke up from his sleep because his teacher reprimanded him. After recalling the events of last night, he also wondered about the strange things he felt in his right hand. When he wanted to go home, he saw a little girl who was chasing the ball on the road, where a car seemed to be driving at high speed toward her. He rushed to save her, and reflexively stopped the car only with his right hand. He was surprised when he discovered that his right hand's shape suddenly changed and had one eye. After seeing this, he was even sure that there was something alive in his right hand. He threatened his right hand by brandishing a knife and asked him to show himself. After that, his right hand turned into a strange creature that could speak. The creature said that it had eaten Shinichi's right hand. He tried to injure his right hand with a knife, but the creature could parry the attack. After that, the strange creature fell asleep, so it returned to its original shape. Shinichi then tried to find information about the strange creature on the internet, but there were no clues. When the creature awakens again and changes shape, he asks about its origin. The creature said it also didn't know where it came from and only told about targeting human brains for host. However, the creature was trapped in Shinichi's right hand because it failed to take over his brain. The next day, when he was about to report what happened to the police station, the creature stopped him by saying that he might be the subject of research. The creature then suggested that they should be able to accept each other's existence and live side by side peacefully. Then, the creature suddenly felt the presence of the same parasitic alien species as it, which already had a host. The parasitic alien wanted to take over the body of a dog. Because he was still in human form, the parasitic alien immediately attacked Shinichi. But the creature in his right hand defended him from the attack and killed the parasitic alien. After that incident, Shinichi finally realized that he had to accept the existence of a parasitic alien in his right hand because he could be easily killed by the parasitic alien who already had a host. Shinichi wanted to give a name to the parasitic alien in his right hand, and the creature suggested the name Migi to him. After Migi took over his right hand, his physical ability also increased. Shinichi, who was just a nerd at his school, suddenly became good at sports, and his classmates were surprised. Many girls admire him, including his best friend, Izumi. At home, he reads the news headlines on the internet about the sadistic murders that often occur later. Migi says that the killing was caused by parasitic aliens like himself who managed to take over the bodies of other living things and make them hosts. Shinichi thought that he had to stop it before more casualties fell. Moreover, he is the only one who knows about the parasitic alien. While in the crowd, Migi again feels the presence of a parasitic alien near them, which has taken over the body of an old man. When Shinichi finally confronts the old man, the parasitic alien controlling his body instead offers Migi a translocation and threatens to kill him if Migi refuses. But Migi refuses the offer and kills the parasitic alien and its host. Shinichi also thanked Migi for saving his life, but Migi said that he did it to maintain his survival. On the next day, while at school, Migi senses the presence of a parasitic alien that turns out to be inside the body of a woman named Ryoko Tamiya, who will become Shinichi's new homeroom teacher. On the other hand, Ryoko also knew about Migi's presence inside Shinichi's body, so she asked him to come to see her after class. Inside the room, Ryoko reveals that she knows about Migi's presence in Shinichi's body. She said that she wanted to collect the information from Shinichi, not to kill him. Therefore, she invites him to meet at another place after school. They then meet at a cafe, where Ryoko introduces a man with the initials A to Shinichi. Unlike her, Mr. A sees Migi and Shinichi as a threat and prepares to attack them. But Ryoko stopped him and told him to sit quietly. Ryoko explained to Shinichi that she and Mr. A had sexual intercourse and are now pregnant with a human fetus. She then questions who they are and what is their purpose in coming to Earth if they can't reproduce. Shinichi said that he didn't know that either. Mr. A suddenly got up and decided to leave. He seemed to think that Shinichi and Migi were very dangerous and planned to kill them. The next day, at Shinichi's school, there is a commotion when an unknown man infiltrates the school and starts attacking people. The intruder is none other than Mr. A, planning to kill Shinichi and Migi. Due to the dangerous situation, all the students were quickly evacuated to a safe place while the teachers tried to stop the intruder. Shinichi, who knows this, tries to confront Mr. A alone so no one else gets killed. Shinichi and Migi then make a plan, in which Shinichi will kill Mr. A, while Migi distracts him. Long story short, thanks to solid cooperation, they were finally able to stop the parasitic alien attack that had taken over Mr. A. Knowing that the host will die soon, the parasitic alien rushes to find Ryoko to translocate. However, when it finally met Ryoko, she turned out to have prepared explosives and managed to kill Mr. A and the parasitic alien. After that incident, Shinichi and Ryoko met again, and she intended to kill him and the people around him. Shinichi then asks why Ryoko kills humans, even though parasitic aliens like Migi can live only by taking food nutrients from their bodies without killing them. Ryoko says that as parasites, they have been programmed to kill humans. However, when she was about to kill Shinichi, she suddenly stopped because she saw something odd about Shinichi. Although Migi failed to take over Shinichi's body, he was not a normal human after Migi entered his body. Ryoko also refrained from killing him because she wanted to observe him and Migi further. After that, Ryoko left. One day, Shinichi's parents told about their wish for a vacation together in a rural area. He looks worried because of the rampant murder cases that have occurred recently. However, Migi calms him by saying that parasitic aliens usually prefer densely populated residential areas because it is easier to find the prey. Finally, he let go of his parents who were going on vacation to the village with a heavy heart. The scene switches and shows a couple who got into an accident when their driving car went out of control and crashed into a ravine. The woman who was in the car turned out to be a parasitic alien host. Because her condition was dying, the parasitic alien tried to translocate to the body of the man next to her by cutting off the man's head and then making him its new host. One day, Shinichi sees his classmate, a young man named Kazuki Nagai, who is being bullied by delinquent students from another school. He rushed to help Nagai, but he's ended up being beaten too. He was battered and visited by a girl named Kana Kimishima who asked him to give up facing the delinquents. However, when she saw Shinichi's eyes closely, she was so surprised because she realized that Shinichi was not an ordinary human. She then invited him to get acquainted and shook hands with him. She again noticed something strange about his right hand. Migi then warns Shinichi to stay away from Kana because she has the inexplicable psychic ability to sense parasites. However, her senses are not as fine-tuned as those of the parasites themselves. Meanwhile, a parasitic alien who took over the body of a man who had an accident seems unable to maintain that body, so it must find another human to be his host, which is none other than Shinichi's mother Nobuko. After the parasitic alien took over Nobuko's body, it immediately attacked Shinichi's father Kazuyuki. Kazuyuki, who was seriously injured, then rushed to contact his son to tell him about his mother. But before he had time to explain further, he collapsed unconscious. After that, Migi felt the presence of a parasitic alien approaching them. However, when Shinichi and Migi prepare to fight it, it turns out that it's his mother. Migi realized that Nobuko had been completely overrun by parasitic aliens, but Shinichi refuses to believe it and tries to talk to his mother until finally the parasitic alien in his mother's body is revealed to true form and attacks him. Because he didn't expect it, he was seriously injured because his right hand was stabbed. Knowing that the attack was fatal enough to injure Shinichi, the parasitic alien left Shinichi to die. Seeing Shinichi dying, Migi didn't just stay silent. He tried to save Shinichi and treat his wound until a few days later, Shinichi finally recovered. Surprisingly, when he was fully conscious, he noticed that his eyesight had improved so he didn't need glasses anymore. After seeing his scar, he knew that Migi had saved him. After that, he got a call from the Sakurazaki hospital which was taking care of Shinichi's father. Knowing his father was still alive, he rushed to the hospital to protect his father. He is also determined to take revenge on the parasitic alien who has killed his mother. On the way to the hospital, he meets a high school girl named Makiko Hayase who shows him the way to the Sakurazaki hospital. At the other time, Shinichi's father is being interrogated by the police about his wife, and he says that his wife has been killed. But the police did not believe him because his wife had returned to the hotel where they were staying and was in good condition. The doctor who treated Kazuyuki concluded that he might still be in shock over the terrible events that had happened to him, so he couldn't tell the difference between a nightmare and reality. That night, Shinichi arrived at the hospital and his father told him that his mother had not been found until now. Kazuyuki tried to hide the truth from his son, but Shinichi realized that his father knew what had happened to his mother. After that, he then looked for the nearest inn, which was not too far from the hospital. He finally found a suitable inn, and in fact, the inn belonged to the Makiko family, so he met the girl again. In the room, Migi tells Shinichi that he is weak now after saving Shinichi's life and that he will sleep soundly for 4 hours a day and cannot sense the presence of other parasitic aliens within a certain distance. Hearing this, Shinichi fully accepts Migi's presence in his body and no longer considers him a parasite because Migi has saved his life. The next day, when Shinichi is on guard in front of the hospital, Migi senses the presence of another parasitic alien near them. Shinichi, who thought that it was a parasitic alien that controlled his mother's body, then rushed to find the location of the parasitic alien. But then, it turned out that person was not his mother, but a man named Mamoru Uda who had a fate like Shinichi. In Uda's case, the parasite took over the lower part of his head and face, most notably his jaw. They finally decided to be friends by sharing information. Uda then offers to help Shinichi to monitor the hospital where Shinichi's father is being treated and inform him if a parasitic alien approaches them. After that, Shinichi returned to the inn, where Migi then informed him that his physical strength increased greatly after Migi saved his life by breaking his body cells into small pieces that spread in the bloodstream throughout the body. Therefore, the current Shinichi has physical toughness that exceeds ordinary humans. Not only that, but he also felt a change in his emotions, where he could no longer cry. Worse yet, the empathy that he should have as a normal human slowly faded, and it finally disappeared. He seems worried about the changes, because he doesn't want to be a monster who loses his sense of humanity, so it will be easy for him to slaughter other humans without feeling anything. The next day, Uda called Shinichi and told him that he sensed the presence of a parasitic alien that was heading toward them, and that it was most likely that the parasitic alien was Shinichi's mother. Hearing this, Shinichi rushed over there. However, Migi suddenly fell asleep and would not wake up for the next 4 hours. But before starting his sleep, he had time to turn Shinichi's right hand into a sharp weapon to fight the parasitic alien. On the other hand, Uda tries to lure Nobuko to the edge of a cliff away from the crowd, but he could not withstand Nobuko's attack until he was seriously injured and fell to the bottom of the cliff. After that, Shinichi finally arrived at the place and was reunited with the parasitic alien that controlled his mother's body. The parasitic alien seemed so surprised to see Shinichi, who managed to survive his attack and is now more resilient. The parasitic alien looked overwhelmed by Shinichi's attack, and when Shinichi was about to kill it, suddenly he remembered his mother and stopped his attack. But then, Uda, who survived, immediately killed the parasitic alien. After that, Shinichi also thanked Uda for helping him kill the parasitic alien that had killed his mother. Shinichi finally feels relieved and ready for a new life with his father while reminiscing about his beloved late mother. The story continues and shows a heavily pregnant Ryoko, who asks one of the parasitic aliens to keep an eye on Shinichi and Migi. She said that they could be used as valuable assets to survive their species on Earth. Therefore, she wants them to be protected and not to be killed. Long story short, the parasitic alien finally disguised itself as a transfer student at Shinichi's school and named itself Hideo Shimada. At school, Hideo wants to be Shinichi's friend, but Shinichi always ignores him because he doesn't trust him. During gym class, Hideo shows his ability to observe Shinichi's physical strength, but this makes the girls interested in Hideo. Feeling annoyed with being followed, he confronts Hideo and asks about his true purpose. Hideo then tells Shinichi that he was assigned by Ryoko to watch over him because Ryoko is looking for a way so that parasitic aliens can coexist with humans. Hideo adds that he is not a threat and will not hurt the people around Shinichi. However, Shinichi and Migi still don't trust Hideo completely. In the other place, Kana, who has a very sensitive feeling, senses Shinichi's presence nearby and intends to surprise him. But it turns out that what appears is Hideo. Hideo, who felt suspicious because Kana could feel his presence, then grabbed Kana's hand and took her away from there. But Shinichi saw them and immediately helped Kana. After that, he accompanied her to the station and asked not to follow her very sensitive hunch so that she wouldn't meet people who could endanger her safety. At the house, Shinichi looks surprised by the presence of a team of investigators from the police who are asking for testimony from his father. They already know about the existence of parasitic aliens, but have not been able to publish it to the general public because they don't want to cause mass panic. After they went home, his father then told Shinichi about the real incident that happened to his mother. Even though he already knew everything, he listened carefully to his father. Meanwhile somewhere, Ryoko is meeting a man and discussing the survival of their species on this earth. She also said that she was still confused about the purpose of their lives, and thought that if they continued to prey on humans, sooner or later humans would start hunting and eradicating all the parasitic aliens. But the man said that she did not need to worry about that because their purpose on Earth was to destroy the human race who had caused damage on Earth. The next day at school, a girl named Yuko Tachikawa accidentally saw Hideo, who was hit by a ball and his head was completely unharmed. Even when other students came and asked him how he was, he said he was fine, and just walked away. Yuko, who was still curious, secretly followed him to a place where Yuko saw him changing clothes, his face and hairstyle into a completely different person. Yuko felt very surprised and suspicious of him. The next day, to prove his suspicions, she asked Hideo to tell the truth in the art room. Hideo, who feels threatened because Yuko has known his true identity, then changes to his true form and attacks Yuko. But before he could kill her, she already had thrown a bottle at Hideo. His body blistered and he began to lose his mind. He couldn't even change his form into a human because some of the cells in his body had died. He started killing people around him, so everyone in the school had to be evacuated to a safe place. Migi realized what Hideo was doing, then told Shinichi, and they rushed to where Hideo was. But Shinichi, who knew that Satomi was not at the evacuation site, then rushed to find her, who was most likely still in the school building.